Hi, I'm Chelsea McMinn, and my topic is reproduction and sexual health. I know somebody on the list is already doing reproduction more specifically, and I know we've learned a lot about STDs and that kind of health, so I'm going to kind of focus on some other concepts that we're not as familiar with. I don't usually like to cram a bunch of words on a slide and then read them off to you, but I feel that these definitions were really helpful. So, sexual health. A state of physical, emotional, mental, and social well-being related to sexuality, not merely the absence of disease, dysfunction, or infirmity. Sexual health requires a positive and respectful approach to sexuality and sexual relationships, as well as the possibility of having pleasurable and safe sexual experiences, free of coercion, discrimination, and violence. For sexual health to be attended and maintained, the sexual rights of all persons must be respected, protected, and fulfilled. And then reproductive health. A state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity in all matters relating to the reproductive system and to its functions and processes. Reproductive health therefore implies that people are able to have a satisfying and safe sex life, and that they have the capability to reproduce and the freedom to decide if, when, and how often to do so. Implicit in this last condition are the rights of men and women to be informed and to have access to safe, effective, affordable, and acceptable methods of family planning of their choice, as well as other methods of their choice for regulation of fertility which are not against the law, and the right of access to appropriate healthcare services that will enable women to go safely through pregnancy and childbirth and provide couples with the best chance of having a healthy infant. Okay, so sensuality. In order for one to have a satisfying sexual experience, they need to satisfy all 5 of the senses. If someone is having an unsafe being emotionally as well as physically sexual experience, most likely the 5 senses are not experiencing satisfying sounds, feelings, sights, and so on. So similarly, intimacy, or being emotionally attached to someone, I feel that intimacy is a huge piece of sexual health because if you have intimacy, you're more likely to have better sexual health. Intimacy usually occurs with planned and intentional reproduction as well. Okay, so sexual identity. This is also a huge piece with this topic, especially with reproduction. So sexual identity includes gender identity, which is which gender you identify more with, regardless of your sex role, which is determined by which reproductive organs you have. That being said, things can get sort of confusing and complicated if those don't match up. Individuals with different identities than their sex role will often struggle with satisfaction and sexual health, not to mention decisions around reproduction. As we all are aware, a significant amount of society relies on these gender roles, where we expect men to be men and women to be women, whatever that means. It is also expected that men and women are sexual partners, not men and men or women and women. Although only a male and a female can reproduce, individuals who identify as homosexual will have better sexual health if they have sexual relations with their partner of choice. There are also ways of these couples being parents without the biologically typical way of having children. So as we know, sexualization is pretty much looking at anything through a sexual context or lens. I think it's important for this topic to mention rape and sexual assault. Unfortunately, as this picture shows, people in society are learning younger and younger what sex is and what is available in the realm of sex. I doubt this little girl in the picture knows what sex is just because her shirt says so many boys and so little time, but I think you get my point. So it's my own opinion that when individuals are learning this stuff so young, they aren't learning it in a healthy way, and they therefore grow up with an unhealthy sex life. This then turns into prostitution, rape, sexual assault, and so on, and obviously there's a lot more to that, but I think there's definitely a correlation. So as always, we should look at this topic through the trauma lens. Reproduction and sexual health incorporates many traumatic events, but I feel the big ones are miscarriages, stillbirths, abortions, difficult and dangerous births, infertility or continuous problems conceiving, and then, again, the sexual harassment, assault, rape, and I choose to include domestic violence because obviously unhealthy relationships like this would affect sexual health and may also affect reproduction, especially if a pregnant woman is being abused. We as clinicians need to be prepared to face these issues in any area of the field and be prepared for the emotions and safety concerns that go along with them. So in terms of rights and social justice, with this topic I could go on, but these are some rights that I felt important to share. All people have the right to health care. All people have the right to education, respect their bodies, choose their sexual partners, decide whether to be sexually active or not, consensual sexual relations in marriage, have the right to decide if and when they want to have children, and to enjoy a healthy and safe sexual life. And the United Nations Population Fund strives for this statement to be true. Every child is wanted, every birth is safe, every young person is free of HIV, and every girl and woman is treated with dignity and respect. Of course, there was so much more I could have gone into depth on, but I tried to keep it to a minimum. I would really suggest taking a look at these references sometime, though. They are really interesting, especially the UNFPA one. All right, well, that's it. Thanks, everyone.